I think, 8 franchises in this. Every nation, particularly in the world of sport, has one game which captures the imagination of that nation. And in the Indian context, probably we should say it is an accepted now that cricket is no more a sport, but religion in India. And it is believed that at least for these 2020 matches, it unites India, irrespective of the caste, gender, religion, or whatever basis. So that's how crazy people are about this format of. No, in fact, we have to understand in the light of developments that took place. This 2020 format, I think, first came up in England, which was copied by the IPL, the format, playing 2020 sort of. Of course, some modifications might be there here and there. Earlier to IPL, there was another league called ICL, Indian Cricketers League, that was formed by certain retired cricketers, stalwarts, and with the format of 2020. And the Board of Cricket Control in India, BCCI, was threatened by the move of ICL. So it quickly jumped into the 2020 action by creating something called IPL. Not only creating IPL, because it was the apex body of the sport, it has banned all those players who constituted the earlier ICL, like Kapil Dev, Ambati Rayudu, some of them. They were all not considered for any of the national selections or any of those IPL matches also in the earlier instance. Till they resigned from the ICL, their association with ICL. So that was the sort of a situation that existed. IPL, I wish to quote as a marketing example because it has captured the value from the fans as well as the sponsors as well. It's a high level experience that it has created, building strong relationships with all concerned. In this particular context, we should see this innovation as a win-win sort of a situation for all the parties that are associated. And basically, I wish to consider 4 different aspects of this example that I am talking to you. One is the broadcasting part of it. The second is the financing part of it. Third is the franchising part of it. And the fourth one is the customer related aspect of marketing in IPL. You would be surprised to know, even when IPL was not so successful, the BCCI was able to create history by selling its television rights for this untested sort of format of IPL to Sony World. I think that was a whopping $1 billion at that particular point of time, way back in 2008. And it almost spent 1 billion for this. And 1 million was to be spent on the promotion of this particular activity by Sony. That was the sort of broadcasting connection they had. The popularity of IPL was also increased. The timing of the telecast by IPL, it helped all the viewers all over the world. And the game was being played at about 8 in the evening. And the timing was of the telecast was during the prime time where all the soap operas, the popular series were being broadcasted. And as we are aware, most of the Indian homes are single TV homes. And the popularity amongst the IPL viewers created a big dent in the ratings of the general entertainment channels like G, Star, Star Plus, and so on and so forth. Not only a dent in their ratings, but also with respect to their revenues and advertisements. Even the movie channels, the regional channels were all affected, okay, by this rub-off with respect to the revenue loss because of IPL for them. Noticing the popularity of this particular IPL, in fact, the movie halls or multiplexes, even restaurants grabbed the opportunity of making an extra money by telecasting the semi-finals and final matches of this league on their big screens. That is one. Coming to the financial part of it, as we know, this popularity was also because of people from different nations joined together and combined they play. And never before such a sort of opportunity existed where we could see that people of different nations formed a part of a team and they were competing. With respect to financing, there are three main sources of income. One is the media receipt. The second one is the gate receipts. And naturally, the third one is the sponsorship that any of them receive. This has been again classified as one as central revenues, wherein the media rights and money generated through these is distributed or shared equally amongst all the franchises after taking out the share of IPL. Say 60% is shared between all the franchises and 40% is left to the IPL. And similarly, the sponsorship rights were also collected and they were distributed equally among the franchises. But local revenues, which includes the team sponsorship as well as the gate collections, were left to the IPL teams. Okay, so this will be used by the respective teams. So to create such an interest on selecting of such players where the matches are being held, people are attracted to view them that as an opportunity. So this helped to increase the gate collections as well. And the team sponsorship, of course, is left to the teams. The third aspect is franchising. As I said, in the initial stage, there are about 8 teams which were given the franchise. And the price that of the 8 teams ranged almost between $67 million or to about $120 million. That's the sort of pay. The franchises had to pay 10% of this purchase price to the IPL every year. Okay? This purchase price has to be paid, 10% of it has to be paid to IPL. As the franchises have to purchase the IPL players by bidding, Each franchisee was allowed to spend about 4 to 6 million every year for contracting 22 players, a coach, and a manager as well. And the franchisee can only make money from team sponsoring and the gate receipts. And this is where the marketing skills of the franchisees also were made use of. And it has to come into play. Okay. And finally, the customers. Viewers all over the world were able to see something very unique. Adam Gilchrist, Chamin Dawas, VVS Lakshman, they were all playing as a part of one team, probably fighting against Dhoni, Muthaiya Muralidharan, Michael Hussey, and Hayden. This was never experienced before. The surprising part of it is women were also drawn to this game as it became a 3-hour mini picnic for them. And they could also see the Bollywood stars who were the brand ambassadors for the IPL teams. And it became a wholesome family affair, that particular context. We should also realize the popularity of the traditional test format has dwindled. And that can be seen from the almost empty stands of the test match when it is telecasted, because it totally ignored the entertainment part of the sport. And these days, nobody has the time to spare 5 days, and that to wait for a very boring result, and most oftenly a drawn match. But today's sport enthusiasts want fun, entertainment. And at the end of the game, there should be a result coming through. And IPL is one such sort of an experience that has been created that nobody could predict who will win the game till the last ball was bowled. Okay. And this was a thrill, real thrill that has been created. And it offered the fans the charging, heart-stopping excitement for them. So this became a brand success for them to continue with this. This way they have strategized their own marketing can be understood by this example. Having said this, I have a few more things to be seen. Say the marketing environment, as we have seen, I have shown you these slides before. Sorry for the repetition. We said the marketing process is firstly analyzing marketing opportunities, then selecting the target markets, developing the marketing mix, and managing marketing effort. We will come to this marketing process again. The challenges today are the technological advances that are happening, rapid globalization, continuing social and economic shifts that are taking place, which has been continuously changing the marketplace. And, some of those changes we have already tried to see. Advances in computers, telecommunications, video conferencing are the major forces today. And accessibility because of the internet connectivity. Okay. And this has also facilitated connecting the customers, not only the customers with the marketeer, but also between the customers as well. So direct sales has become one of the major activity today, where intermediaries have been reduced, and there have been large online marketing and the small retailers are naturally affected. Connecting with the marketing partners, there are relationships, there are several other arrangements being made. The supply chain is taking a totally new look. And of course, globalization, new competition, new opportunities also exist. And we have said, how do we attract customers? These are some of the things. And I want you to read these three. Customer relationship management is the overall process of building and maintaining profitable customer relationship by delivering superior customer value and satisfaction. It costs 5 to 10 times more to attract a new customer than it does to keep a current customer satisfied. Therefore, the investment that we are making is a long-term investment on marketing. We want to not only retain, but also grow them, and grow them with respect to the share that they invest on our brands. Okay, marketeers must therefore be concerned with the lifetime value of the customer. And when we said this, the technologies that have been adopted, the way it is telecasted, the type of involvement of various modes of sponsorship, financing, and franchising, sort of a thing. You see, the added portion at the bottom, harnessing the technology, managing a global market, ensure ethical and social responsibility. So these are certain things that makes the entire marketing process through. Well, after this, how is this marketing done? Marketeers develop and implement a marketing plan based on the following information: organization strengths and weaknesses, the opportunities and threats that exist, and the overall objectives of the organization, the goals of the organization. And for this, we have certain tools that we normally adapt. And I think I made a mention about one such tool called 5C analysis in the last class. Before we get into this, have a look at the marketing. Communication channels are delivering messages to and receive messages, include traditional media, non-verbal, all this, distribution channels, service channels. And this is the total marketing gamut of planning, implementing, and control. Now, we were talking about management in the first unit by Professor Krishna. Unless there is a plan, planning and controlling are together. They go together. Unless you know where you want to go, you would not be able to measure and see whether you're going in the right direction. So for that, we have to organize our activities in such a way that we would be able to monitor them, control them, and finally, direct them in a way that the objectives of the organization or the activities are achieved. In order to do this, we have today, I plan to come up with 3 or 4 tools, basically. One is the 5C analysis. You see what I have here. This is SWOT analysis. And after SWOT analysis, we have ANA model, then 5C analysis, then vessel analysis. These are some of the analysis that we are likely to make use of in the first activity of the marketing process. As the model, the C's stand for company, collaborators, customers, competitors, and climate. Okay, they are the major elements that relate to any business model. For example, for that matter, the marketing situation itself. And when we are talking about the 5 C's, we are bothered about the products, competitive advantages, goals, the brands that they have, and collaborators, with whom do we partner? Are they investors? Are they suppliers, service providers? Or what sort of relationships do we have? And the target with respect to customers, we wish to see what is their motivation, what is their behavior, what is their need, and how are we trying to target them, and the communication channels that we make use of, and the understanding that we have about our customers and their changing needs and trends. Competitors, some of them are established already, and some of them are coming afresh, emerging. Their strengths and weaknesses, their strategies and capabilities, competences. Finally, the environment in which we are operating, both legal, regulation, social, economic, technological, natural, and so on and so forth, all these factors. So we are trying to assess all these factors. This would help us to understand what areas of business should we focus on and to find out our strengths and weaknesses in the business. It also helps us to have an insight into the key aspects that drives us to success, as well as what exposes us to the risks of the business or the activities that we are. And this is, in a way, the 5C analysis is also to identify the internal as well as the external factors that help or hinder our business activities and our organization as such. Many a times we make use of these along with the SWOT analysis. Some of them give us a macro view and some a very micro view of things. Okay. In that context, we make use of this to have a better understanding of the strong areas that we have, so that we build on the competitive edge of our competitors. We have to build so that we face them. It makes us also understand the business and the big picture of the business. And in order to do this, we must understand the customer, the commercial environment, as well as the changing market scenario. For example, I was mentioning, when you're asking about the company, what we are trying to see is an analysis of the objectives, the goals of the company, and what we are achieving, so that we place ourselves very objective. Not only this, we are also trying to understand the type of strategy that we are likely to implement or already implementing, and the effectiveness in achieving our own goals by this chosen method, by the chosen, and what's our experience of all this. And also the products and the product line, the strategy that went into making these, and the position that they could occupy in the market is what we wish to understand about the company. So in a way, it is knowing the strengths of the company. In a way, trying to assess where we have been able to make a mark. And it also, what type of products are we selling and how are we differentiating these from our competitors. And the advantages that we have over our competitors, and with a view, how can we make these things better, is what we wish to understand. Many a times when we have been faced with problems, answering some of these questions would become a little difficult. So we make use of other aspects as well, like the SWOT analysis, as I was mentioning, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. In a sense, both of them seem to be more or less similar, but the SWOT analysis is much more deeper with respect to the internal aspects. And SWOT analysis is not only for business, but also for every activity, for every individual. As individuals, we also need to have a SWOT analysis for our own self. We'll come back to that a little later. And talking about the collaborators, who are these collaborators? There are several who would like to work with us in our routine business. And do we have really, a shipping partner or an investor, or for that matter, who will manage our daily operations, clearing and a forwarding agent sort of a thing, or a warehouse? So, and e-commerce platforms which you make use of. All these are, who manages your inventory, who manages your websites, communication with the customers, communication with your business partners, and managing the sales and distribution activities. All these naturally are part of it. And we must realize now that answering again these questions, we require a lot of people to run our business and to understand the role each one plays. So, about the collaborators, having said about this, now we have to talk about the customer, who is of utmost importance to us. They are the most important part of our business because they buy our products or they make use of our services. And we should know them better than themselves. Who they are, what they like, where they live, what is their age, what is their income, how much do they spend on each of the items, and what is their level of education, and try to relate things of this nature. So we try to assess the market size, market segments, their habits, their perceived value of the customers, and the overall customer satisfaction. When it comes to marketing, the analysis of our customer means understanding the product business and why the customers either like or dislike about our product or the services that we make, or even about our organization. When we find out these, about their likes and dislikes, about the services, the products, and about the organization, probably it gives us an opportunity to make modifications to fall in line. For this, we should again be clear about how our ideal customer would be and who would be showing interest in our product. That means to say, who is our target customer who buys our product? And what types of products do they want? Is it good, better? Do they go by reviews? And what products get reviews, and what effect or what influence does it have on the future of other buyers? And are they going to come back to us? Are they repetitive customers? Or every time do we know it's only a one time relationship that we are trying to, our product or service is able to generate? How is it going to impact our business is another question that we have. And what motivates them to purchase our product? And where do they get information from? And what are the channels that they see this information or the products from? How do they appreciate? What do they appreciate? And if we have to say something to our customer, how do we say this? Similarly, once we have understood the trends, their preferences, the changes that are taking place over a period of time, equally important are the competitors for us. They are very important to the business. And we naturally have to know their own strengths, their potential, their strategies, their products, and how are they able to attract their strengths and weaknesses as well. And what is their competitive advantage over our products or services, and what strategies are helping them to do this? From that, we try to understand what will help us or what we should do to overcome what the competitors are doing in competition with our products. And trying to understand the segments that other organizations or competitors are concentrating on, so that we ensure that our segment is safe, our segment of market is safe. So as long as a segment is safe, competitors are in a different segment, so they are not really competitors. So positioning our product and the importance that is given by the customers to the product in comparison with that of the competitors would also help us. And lastly, we come to the aspect of climate. Climate is the general environment that I was talking to you before. Climate is something like political, economic, scientific, sociological, technological, legal, and environment. So the acronym for that is PESTLE, as I have written there, PESTLE. It's an acronym for the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environment. So that's a macro analysis that we have to do for the thing. Before we go into the pest analysis, I want you to come through the SWOT analysis. Yeah. SWOT analysis also examines the strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats of a business. When we complete this exercise of SWOT analysis, we should be understanding, once we do this SWOT analysis, we should be understanding where do we stand, and what is it that is blocking us, blocking the path to success, obstacles in our way. SWOT analysis is also a strategic tool to, as I said, it is not only for products and businesses, but also for an industry, a sector, and also a person can also do those. It tells us what can be and what cannot be both internally and externally. It shows us how we can accomplish our goals and what stands in our way in achieving. This is, as I said, considered as a macro view. In assessing our objectives. This is very helpful in trying to assess the competitive advantages or disadvantages that a business has. As we were discussing earlier, strengths and weaknesses are internal factors, opportunities and threats are external factors. As the picture depicts, strength is a resource or a capacity of the organization that can be used effectively to achieve its objectives. Whereas weakness is a limitation, fault, or defect of the organization that will keep it from achieving the objectives. What is obstructing us from achieving the set goals? So these are basically totally internal. Opportunity is a favorable situation in the organization's environment that can be exploited if prepared well. Threat is an unfavorable situation of the organization's environment that might potentially cause a damage to its existing strategy. So many a times it's a go, no go sort of a decisions, as we so mentioned. Whenever we are to take an informed decision, we make use of certain analysis, gather more information, so that we are well informed about the circumstances in which we are trying. This is only an elaboration of what we have already seen. It's a situational analysis to evaluate for better decision making and competitive advantage. Both internal and external analysis can be done. Internal analysis involves strengths and weaknesses, how to capitalize on strengths and how to overcome the weaknesses. External analysis is about how to exploit the opportunities and how to counteract on the trends. Many a times this is also called as Tow's analysis or SWOT analysis, whatever you call it. The purpose is the same. It's basically a planning tool wherein we try to assess our own strengths, weaknesses, and explore the opportunities that are available and identify the threats that we are likely to come across. Many a times consultants are appointed to conduct these analysis, but when individuals themselves do it, when management, making use of their own employees, stakeholders, perform this SWOT analysis, then we come up with the actual picture of the business, of our own self. If we are doing it for our individual personal self, then we have to be truthful about what is happening. The integrity of information is very essential. The veracity of information is very appropriate. It has to be very appropriate. The SWOT analysis guides to identify the positives and negative internals to an organization's strengths and weaknesses. It also helps to identify the positive and negative external to an organization, helps to strategize. When do we use this? When we explore the problems and solutions for problems. When we are trying to make informed decisions, determining the changes that are taking place and what action are we likely to come up with in the changed circumstances. And whenever plans are likely to, there is a plan. Plan is nothing rigid. Plan has to be adaptable. It gets modified, renewed, refurbished as time passes because of taking into account all the changes that are coming by, which are sometimes some of them being unforeseen circumstances. So we adjust and refine our plans and take mid-course correction. Strengths are internal resources or capabilities. Strengths, they are helpful to achieve the desired goals. And what is the business good at? What business processes are successful? What assets do we have in our team, such as knowledge, experience, education, network, skills, and reputation? What is it that we can probably do better than our competition? And what are our advantages over the competition that we have? A new or innovative product or service, location of our business, low prices. Some of these strengths are things that the organization does particularly well or in a way that distinguishes from its competitors. Weakness are internal barriers achieving the desired goals and results. We are trying to understand what the competition is doing better than how the competition is doing better than us. Are there things that we need to improve upon to be competitive? What processes need to be improved? What is it that we have been doing wrong? And are the tangible assets that your company needs, such as money or equipment, are we having those tangible assets? Are there gaps on your team? Is your location ideal for your success? What should you avoid? Undifferentiated products or services, location of your business, poor quality of goods or services. Weaknesses, like strengths, are inherent features of the organization that could be improved. Opportunities are external situations that could provide us an advantage. Is your market growing? And are there trends that will encourage people to buy more of what you're selling? Are there upcoming events that your company may be able to take advantage of? Are there upcoming changes or in regulation that might impact your economy positively? If your business is up and running, do customers think highly of you? No, these are examples of a developing market, like making use of internet, developing the market, moving into new segments, identifying newer segments, and identifying new international markets and so on. Opportunities are openings or chances for something positive to happen. Threats, external situations which could damage the accomplishment of objectives or goals. And what are these? Which gives us tension. Are there market trends that could become a threat? What are things that are changing that we are not ready for, we are not prepared for, and what could pose difficulties for us? Okay, so for things that we are not prepared, those are all threats for us. New competition, a home market, price wars from the competitors. A competitor has a new innovative product. So threats include anything that can negatively affect our business from outside, such as supply chain problems, shifts in market requirements, or a shortage of recruits. So these are this SWOT analysis. Going by this, some of the commonly considered factors are financial resources, physical resources, all resources, capabilities, experiences, knowledge we have are all our strengths. And some of the external factors that we are controlling are we are trying to assess the marketing trends, economic trends, funding, demographics, relationships, and the environment in general. This is a matrix where strengths and opportunities, the SO strategies, are the opportunities worth pursuing, which could be a good fit because of our strengths in that area. WO strategies, they are only to overcome our weaknesses. Okay. And ST strategies, we are trying to identify the ways that the firm can use its strengths to reduce the vulnerability of threats, particularly the external threats. And WT strategies are to establish a defensive plan to prevent the firm's weaknesses from making it highly susceptible to external threats. How do we guard ourselves from certain things that are happening? So performing SWOT analysis helps in making a decision, a go, no go sort of a thing. All businesses can profit. All individuals can also profit from performing SWOT analysis. It's a continuous process, not a one-time sort of a thing. Whenever changes, because we are in a dynamic environment, as changes take place, we have to be conducting now and then the SWOT analysis, be aware. By understanding our situation, we can proactively make business decisions for both the present and the future to ensure success. So is the case now with the individuals as well. If we are trying to achieve something, be successful, we got to assess our own situations, our own performance, our own strengths, capabilities, and present ourselves with the opportunities. Okay? Prepare ourselves for the opportunities. Well, in marketing, this is one of the most important models called the Kano model. Okay. As you see, did we miss something? Yeah. The first one is not showing off. We'll come back to that a little later. As you see here, the curve on the left, the one with the red color are things that are expected and unspoken needs. To the left, on the x-axis, we have satisfaction. On the y-axis, we have positive side satisfaction and the negative side dissatisfaction. And on the x-axis, we have the characteristics or the parameters that the customers have been looking forward to, whether they are fully implemented or whether they are absent. So whatever people expect, they are all unspoken, but they are all expected. So these are minimum things that need to be there, or else nobody goes for it. There are certain things which are expected but are also spoken needs. Those are satisfiers. That is represented by the dark line, probably the black line, indicated by number 2. But there are also certain needs which are unspoken and which people do not even expect. They do not even know that they could ask for it. So they are the delighters. People are excited for receiving such a sort of product with such a characteristic of it. That creates excitement amongst the customers. We try to create such sort of delight in customers. From the right side bottom curve, we can understand that whatever are the unspoken delighter needs at one point of time, they become an expected sort of needs over a period of time. So today it might be an innovation, but tomorrow it turns out to be a basic need. So it falls, the dotted line shows unspoken delighter needs can be spoken or unspoken, but comes down to be only satisfiers. So if they don't exist, The expected and unspoken needs, if they don't exist in the product, then they create dissatisfaction. If there are unexpected and unspoken needs existing in the product, it creates delight. But if it has spoken needs and satisfied, then it becomes a satisfied. These are generally spoken. Coming to the top curve, you can see in the bottom curve must be requirement, basic requirement, implied, self-evident, not mentioned, taken for granted. Whereas on the top side, it is attractive requirement, surprises, not expressed, customer tailored, transiting. And the basic satisfiers are one-dimensional requirement performance, stated, specified, measurable, and technical. So Kano's model is usually followed for all the marketing techniques. We try to assess this. And the strategy formulation by using of these techniques would be by the first environmental analysis, which is the 5C analysis as well as the pestle analysis. We are yet to do the pestle analysis. Okay. Then comes the SWOT analysis. So putting them together, we come up with our own internal conditions and finally the strategies of the organization in the green at the bottom. Okay. And a small exercise for you. Your home is located within 2 minutes walk of the bus station and is just a 10 minutes ride away from the college. Your English speaking skills are very poor and you are ashamed of speaking English. Your college is located next to one of the largest shopping centers in your town. These are some of the situations that exist. So we are trying to make out situational analysis of these. So some examples are given here. We can probably work out on one or two. The best thing to work out is doing your own SWOT analysis for each one of you. Example, if a teacher performs a SWOT analysis, I have a passion for teaching. My strengths, I have a good interpersonal skills. I have a degree in education. I have good critical and analytical skills. I have excellent communication skills. I have plenty of work experience. I am good with public speaking. I am financially sound. I am young and healthy. I have supportive spouse. These are my strengths. My weaknesses, I have, Now some of those I reflect. I have little or relevant experience. I am low in my self-esteem. I am poor at dealing with conflict. Some of the weaknesses. Opportunities. I have a job offer in college which suits my temperament better, and so on. And threats. I have no PhD. I have no PhD guides in this town. I have a heavy workload. I need to sign a contract if I take up a new job, so on and so forth. So similarly, we can perform our own SWOT analysis. I believe it is time for your next class. Somebody has put in a message in the chat box. So any questions so far? There are questions. Yeah, there are some questions in the chat box. Let me go through them. BCCI became the richest cricketing apex in the world. Yes. Now, by the strategy today, still it is able to catch our attention and our interest. Yes, still so. And also risk management is to, yeah. Somebody saying something? Shiv Kumar, you have something to say? Risk management is to be taken care while formulating a plan. Of course, risk management is one major thing. Basically, why we are trying to perform this situational analysis is only to overcome such sort of unexpected, unanticipated things of business or events, eventualities in the life of a business or an individual. So we are trying to assess the situation and plan ahead of getting into such a position before we reach such a thing. Can we use AARR framework here, sir? I think so. We can. I have asked about any interesting course in marketing. Could you please suggest? Yes, I would. Please make this a private conversation, Raghuvanshi. I am still on the lookout. I'll do that. Yeah. Any questions on this so far? Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Hello.
sir, no questions.
Thank you. Well, if there's no questions, I think we can call it a day now. This.
Thank you.
And yeah, I think we have to decide about our minor as well. The CRs would talk to me and we'll fix up the minor.
Hi, sir.
Yeah?
I am here, sir. We will discuss about that evening, sir.
Sarthak, let me also speak to Professor Krishnanand and we'll fix up probably the coming Tuesday.
Oh, no, sir. Coming Tuesday, we have another minor, sir, MTM.
I see. So Wednesday should be fine?
Yeah,
Let
it will
us
be
know.
fine, sir.
Yeah, let us know.
I will call you evening after classes and I will let you know, sir.